younger children's encyclopedia, read from random pages. Insect. Scientists know over 500,000 different kinds of insects, and most of them breed at a remarkable rate. The name comes from the Latin word insectum, meaning cut into, and the body is divided into 3 parts. The first is the head. This carries the compound and simple eyes, 1 pair of feelers, and the mouth parts for biting and sucking, or piercing and sucking. The second part is the thorax, or front part. It carries 3 pairs of legs, and in the flying insects, 2 pairs of wings. All insects have 6 legs. The spider has 8 legs and is not an insect. The third part is the abdomen, or hind part. It sometimes carries a sting. Insects breathe through a series of openings along each side of the body. Air is then carried to all parts of the body by branching air tubes. The development of many insects is through a change of form known as metamorphosis. First, a larva hatches from an egg. This creature feeds and grows and sheds its skin as it gets too big for it. This happens several times. When it has finished growing, the creature usually becomes a pupa. It does not move about or eat, but rests until it has changed into its complete form. Then the fully grown insect comes out of the pupa. Some insects develop a little differently. The beetle does not build a chrysalis, and others, like the dragonfly, grasshopper, and earwig, look like their parents, except that they have no wings. As soon as they come out of the eggs, they are then called nymphs. They grow and molt until they reach the adult age. Insulator. Electricity can flow along copper, but it can hardly flow at all along glass. We call glass an insulator. The telegraph wires carry electrical messages. If we nailed the wires onto the wooden poles, the electricity would spread over the pole when it was wet and into other wires, and then no one could read any of the messages. So all these wires are attached not directly to the posts, but to knobs of grooved china, which is a very good insulator. In the house, the wires are insulated by being covered in rubber fabric. Rubber is another good insulator. Insurance is a way of guarding against loss or damage to life or property. For example, if you insure your bicycle for £20, the insurance company will pay you £20 if it is stolen or gets smashed in an accident. A man who has a family often has a life insurance so that his family will get some money if he dies suddenly. Of course, the insurance company will not do this for nothing, but requires you to pay an agreed sum of money called a premium at regular intervals. The payment may be made weekly, monthly, or yearly. The agreement with the company is called a policy. Interest. If a man asked his banker to lend him £100 for a year, he might or might not get it, depending on how reliable a person he was. And if he got it, he would have to pay back about 105 at the end of the year. The extra £5 is called the yearly interest. Many people want to borrow money to extend their business or to help them over a difficulty. Most of them are honest and successful and repay it. Occasionally, someone cannot repay the money or disappears and does not try to repay it. Bankers and others who lend money must have a little extra to make up for these losses and to pay for the time and the trouble they have to take in arranging the loan. Transport. This term covers all the ways by which people and goods can be carried from one place to another. The earliest methods were by pack horse, camel, or other animals, moving along narrow tracks. But as soon as rafts were invented, heavy loads were often floated down rivers. There was also the sledge, which has been used for thousands of years for rapid transport across ice and snow. With the invention of the wheel came the wagon and all kinds of vehicle, and for many centuries these were pulled along by horses and oxen. To serve them, proper roads had to be built, and from that time most of the world's land transport has been along roads. Meanwhile, the raft became the ship, propelled by wind or oars. When engines were invented, they were soon adapted to drive both vehicles and ships, and it was not long before the aeroplane came to provide yet other forms of transport. Tree. a woody perennial plant having a main stem or trunk and many woody branches springing from it. Any self-supporting plant more than 10 feet high is called a tree. Triangle, the shape formed by any three straight lines arranged to enclose a space. Every triangle has three angles, and the sum of the angles equals two right angles. Tribe, a group of people who claim to be descended from a common ancestor, speak the same language, and have the same simple form of government. The members of a tribe are loyal to their chief or leader and are usually firmly united in the face of their enemies. Trout, a fish which belongs to the same family as the salmon. There are many species of which the salmon trout, the rainbow trout, and the European brown trout are probably the best known. The salmon trout spends much of its life at sea, but like the salmon, returns to the rivers to spawn. The rainbow trout is a brilliantly spotted fish, numerous in the streams of the Rocky Mountain region and in other parts of the world. The European brown trout is common in the rivers of Britain and provides excellent sport for the fishermen.